So what's up with text align center and edge insets all? These are certain Dart features, not Flutter specific, and they're not exactly the same. This here is a special constructor. Edge insets has multiple constructors, and you can see them here if you add a dot after the class type, so without parentheses, then you see all these constructors here. Now these features exist to allow you to create an object in different variants. Now it can always be nice to look into the raw source code to understand what's going on. And you can always do that by holding Command on macOS or Control on Windows, and then you hover over the thing you want to learn more about, and it now turns into a link which you can click. And if you do click it, you're taken to the framework code. We see that enum I was talking about, you created with the enum keyword here, as you can see, and we'll do that manually later. We'll create our own enums. For the moment, let's basically ignore that. These are just different options we have for alignment here, which are then picked up by Flutter once we assign the value to align our text per the option we chose here. What's more helpful is diving into edge insets here. So if we dive into this, we now see it's a class that extends edge insets geometry, which is interesting because you might remember that if you hover over margin, this takes an edge insets geometry value. So it's good that edge insets extends this. This means that if we instantiate edge insets, we automatically get an object of type edge insets geometry, because if you have a class that extends another class, that class that does extend always has its own type as well as the type of the class it did extend. That's also a default behavior of Dart. Now in here, we see that there are a couple of special constructors here. We repeat the class name, which always means it's an instructor, but then instead of directly adding parentheses thereafter, we add dot some name. And that is a Dart feature which allows you to define multiple constructors per class. Now, without diving too much into the internals here, in the end, that just means that each constructor creates a new instance of this class, but with different configurations, with different settings. And that all is just done to make it easy for you to create different edge insets, which is basically a settings container setting up spacings, setting up different edge insets containers with different configurations with these utility functions here, with these utility constructors. If I go back to Dartpad, we could have created that for person as well. We could have added our own constructor by adding the name and then dot and then any name of your choice. For example, very old. And in there, we could have accepted the name and then said that this constructor by default sets age equal to 60. So here we can't set the age in the constructor, it's always set to 60, and we can only set the name. And now this would be a helpful constructor if we wanted to create a person, p3, that always is 60, where we only want to set the name. So we could use the very old constructor and set this to, well, max again, so my name again. And now if I print p3.name, and I then also print p3.age, if I run this now, you will see that here we actually get max and then 60 being printed, and that is the output for our p3 object. So these special or these extra constructors are really just there to give you the same type of object you would get with the normal constructor, but with some predefined settings, some different behavior they run inside of the constructor.